Welcome back to another episode of In the Face of. I'm Alex Wallace, and with me,
Joe Winchurch.
Today we're going to be in the face of body dysmorphia. So, what does that mean?
Well, body dysmorphia, body dysmorphic disorder, or known as BDD, or body dysmorphia, is a mental health condition where a person spends a lot of time worrying about flaws in their appearance. These flaws are often unnoticeable to others, so people of any age can have this condition, BDD, right? But it's most common in teenagers and young adults, and it affects both men and women. Also, I want to make you guys aware, there is another issue which we'll be talking about today as well. It's called muscle dysmorphia, or MD, right? And that's a form of body dysmorphic disorder. But MD is defined by being preoccupied by worries that one's body is too small or not muscular enough, despite having a normal build, or in many cases an objectively extremely buff physique.
Yeah.
Right?
So, but obviously it's a little bit different. It's more of a carry-on from what we were doing last week, where we were talking a lot about weight and weight troubles, whereas this week we're going to be focusing a little bit more on the mental side of that.
Yeah.
And it's essentially looking at it as a mental illness.
Yeah.
And the psychology around it.
Yeah. No, right, that's perfect. And there's a lot of people, as you guys may know, and the more you get to know us, the more podcasts you listen to. Me and Alex, we are very active in the gym. A lot of our community, a lot of our friends also go to the gym quite a lot. And one thing I've noticed in myself, I've always had, I mentioned this in a previous episode, I've had a few body image issues myself going through the years. And even now, it's something that I've struggled with a little bit here and there. MD, that is, not BDD. So it's more for the muscle dysmorphia. It's having this image of myself as this guy who was really slim back in the day, really skinny, and I've put on a bit of muscle, but sometimes my brain, when I'm looking in a mirror, just doesn't quite see what everyone else is seeing, and that's where the real issue is, and that's what we wanted to talk about, really.
So, but obviously I think there's levels to it, isn't there?
Yeah.
So everyone looks in the mirror a little bit and thinks, am I big enough? Am I where I would like to be? Can I be bigger? And a lot of bodybuilders especially will use looking at themselves as a mirror as a way of tracking their progress, essentially. So there's doing it on a small level, let's per se. Everyone's going to look at themselves and I would like to be bigger. And I think where that would turn into an issue is when it becomes to an extreme amount, is when you're doing extreme things or going to drastic measures that may put a decline to your health through having this problem. And I think that's where it actually becomes body dysmorphia, because I think everyone suffers with it a little bit.
Yeah, well, I agree with you there. What we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, or a few episodes ago, we were talking a little bit about social standards, social media, and how we have fake naturals. So we have an episode on fake naturals.
Yeah, well, nutties.
Shut fake nutties. But basically, there's one little thing we spoke about in that episode. You should definitely check it out. It's a really, really cool episode. Is the social standard, or social media has twisted people's expectations of what they can achieve naturally. And we're going to move off that a little bit. And I want to say, we want to keep on the subject of social media, how social media has sort of twisted the ideology of what can be achieved naturally. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it presents this idea of an unrealistic body type.
Yeah.
And it does it for both, I'd say both men and women. It does it for everyone, where it presents this idea that every man should be, looking buff and looking absolutely massive with six packs 80% of the time.
Yeah.
It presents this idea that women should be literally starving themselves as a way to look good.
Yeah.
Right. And because it's presenting that is where a lot of the issue comes from. Now, as opposed to looking at simply just social media, body dysmorphia, it's something that social media has caused. However, I think that because of that, it is more predominant in the younger communities now. I think things like TikTok, the generations before us maybe haven't been exposed to it as much. And I think that because of that, it is a growing problem within Western society today.
Yeah, right. And, you've got individuals maybe sitting on social media on an evening, still going to the gym. You might not be going to the gym. But even if you're not going to gyms, so not just muscle dysmorphia, but body dysmorphia in general, there's this expectation, and people say it's unrealistic, an unrealistic expectation of what you should look like, with these beauty magazines. We also talked about how the world is moving in a different direction and beauty standards are changing, are normalizing obesity. We're not going to talk about it today. But what I want to discuss is there's people comparing themselves to these models that they see online, And it's just not right. Your body composition is not going to be the same of that of Alex Eubank or Noel Diesel or any other big fitness influencer out there.
Nutritionalists,
Yeah,
personal trainers, they've all the cosmetic surgery. There's a million things that models do to look the way that they do.
And not just Photoshop, right?
Coming from somebody who uses Photoshop, I can tell you how easy it is to change the entire composition of the human body.
Yeah. Very easy. Get a good pump, get some lighting involved, put it through Photoshop.
Put it through the AI version of Photoshop, which will be coming out very soon, which makes it even easier for anyone to do it, which obviously is not a good thing.
I think what's really important, and social media is out there. I'm not going to be, the devil and say, oh, you should stop looking at social media all the time. But it's good to limit yourself.
Just be aware.
And be aware
of what social media can present you, because Instagram, if it knows that, it has certain algorithms, and if you're looking at certain things, it will then post more of that content towards you. And therefore, you might then become overexposed. And I think it's not exposure to social media. I think it's overexposure.
Overexposure of looking at the thing. So in this case, looking at models. In general, I'm just, generalizing. But if things on that. But then if you're looking at people who have incredibly amazing physiques, or in your eyes, they're incredibly amazing physiques, and you're looking at it day and maybe for an app, like a couple minutes here and a couple minutes there, that compounds, right? So whereas you've been looking on Instagram, maybe you spent 3-4, I don't know, what's the average user? It's like 3 hours a day or something on social media.
You'd be surprised. We were having a look at that the other day.
Yeah,
it's surprisingly high, to be fair.
And that feeds into your subconscious mind, so you don't realise, and that has a detrimental knock-on effect with your mental health.
Yeah.
Right?
It can do. And I think it's one of them, it's not unnatural, but it's difficult to describe it. We are the first generation, obviously, who is dealing and going through these problems.
Yeah.
The first people who are truly exposed to it. So just like processed foods, we're not entirely saturates.
Yeah.
We are not entirely sure what the long-term effects of this actually are. It's something that we are all discovering as we're going through it. And I think that's where a lot of the danger comes from.
Yeah. And, it is quite dangerous, especially when there have been studies have been done and experts believe that 1 in 100 people have BDD. Men and women are equally affected, and factors that may contribute to BDD could include maybe a family history of body dysmorphia. So people in the family may have issues or a similar mental disorder, or being in a family environment where you don't have the right support network, and maybe you're in toxic relationships. That can stem off and cause these issues with your mind, where maybe they don't accept you or see you the way that they should.
So it's not a chemical reaction. This is an environmental situation that causes this disease.
Yeah, of course. And it's really important. If you know someone out there, maybe not you, but you know someone out there who does have body issues, in their mind, to you might think they look amazing.
They look absolutely massive.
But they could really have a problem. They might really have a problem with this, and you've got to accept their feelings, And if you accept their feelings of the person with BDD or MD and recognizing that they find,
just telling them that they're massive isn't going to make them change their mind.
No.
A real mental problem.
But you need to recognize that it's very difficult for these people to cope with themselves sometimes, because they really do challenge with the way they see themselves. And while you may not understand their concerns about their appearance, it's really important to recognize that these feelings are very real to them, And if you know that these people are in a toxic situation, do what you can to help them, and try to recognize the people that are making them feel that way. You know what we talk about when there's a piece of bad fruit, rotten fruit in a bowl, and all the good fruit starts to go rotten very quickly.
Congregate together and
support these people.
With it, a lot of it is, if people are incredibly lonely, I think sometimes, and it's obviously this is just an observation, and it's not a full diagnosis, because we can't do that. But when I found it a lot through loneliness, it can happen sometimes. Sometimes when you're trying to find a reason for why you're alone, and a lot of that reason, without second thinking, really, can come to, it's because I don't look right, it's because I'm not pretty enough, I'm not skinny enough, and that can then build up, and it's I found it a really, really difficult thing to talk about. And the harder you find it to talk about, the less likely you are to actually do something about it. And this can come both from thinking that you're too fat or that you don't have enough muscle in both regards. And I don't know whether I could say that if somebody had to come up and challenge me on it, it would have helped.
Yeah.
But at the same time, by not doing anything, I was left alone to just keep doing it. So it's quite a touchy subject, and it is a really, really personal thing for people.
Yeah.
And that if there is somebody that you think that is truly struggling with something like this, as opposed to challenging them or saying, "Oh no, you're not, you look massive," and thinking that will reinforce a better ideology, is maybe just sitting down and trying to have a chat with them and first really getting to know the root issue of why this could be happening, because that is a great way of actually finding ways to come around it and to come out of it better.
That is it. And also, if you people are out there and they're friends of yours and you think they are really struggling with this, don't be afraid to recommend therapy. Don't be afraid to get them the support that they need.
Especially for men.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not regarded quite a difficult thing for men to do, is to have to ask for help, And a lot of the time, because of that fact and because of things like toxic masculinity, they just naturally won't. It is really difficult. And it's also really difficult to find counsellors these days. I mean, you might not have the money. If you're going through the NHS, you might be waiting a very long time.
There's methods around it. If someone really does need help and they're financially struggling, go to Samaritans, just type it on your phone, charitable thingies, I think. They've got stuff online.
Yeah.
You just do
so you could just look up straight away.
Yeah.
And there is people that you can go to and ask for help.
Yeah, there are charitable therapists and stuff for people who are really struggling with this issue. But like I said before, just really support them with this, because to them, this is very real. They look in the mirror, they see something that you don't see, and it can cause them a lot of mental distress. And it's not a nice feeling. If you've ever felt like that, yourself as well, please do go out there and seek help, because you shouldn't feel like that. You shouldn't second guess yourself, and you shouldn't feel these horrible negative emotions. It's not nice.
And sometimes having somebody to talk to, especially a stranger, I know how weird that might sound, because you think of maybe your friends as being the people who you trust the most, but sometimes coming to people who you are really close to might be difficult. And sometimes a counsellor is somebody that you don't know who is impartial to that situation. You can truly open up to, and then get to
the
root issue. The root issue of your problem. And we would recommend that to everyone. I mean, I've struggled with it for years, and it took me a very, very long time to actually do something about it.
Yeah.
And to anyone that is struggling, my advice to you now is don't wait until you get too old. I spent years like this, and I've only just started doing something about it now, and I'm so glad that I have. But at the same time, I wished that I had been doing this
sooner,
10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
10 years
and
ago.
If you are on that side, like what Alex just said, if you are at the beginning and you're thinking about it, but you don't know whether or not to do it, just do it.
Sometimes take a jump, guys.
Yeah, but what's the worst that can happen, You talk to someone, they might not get it.
Therapy doesn't work out, and you have to try it again.
You have to try again, but at least you're trying. And the fact you are trying means that you are taking the right steps towards the outcome that you want. Sometimes you will not see the result in one day. Rome wasn't built in a day, You're not going to see the outcome tomorrow.
Understatement of the year.
No, but you apply this to anything, But with this, it's one step at a time, little things. And the fact that, we're making this very real and very present, and we want, especially you guys, to understand this problem and be aware of it. And you can help people with it. And it's a nice feeling to help people who struggle with this. But it's the little steps. It's, it's not, you're not going to see any real difference tomorrow, but it's over time, little things.
I would say it depends. There's no such thing as getting something straight away that's worth having. You have to work towards everything.
Yeah.
And it will be different for every person. But I used to say that I could never change. My body will never change. And the more I thought about it, the minute that you tell yourself you can't do something is the day you'll never do it.
Yeah.
I then trained every single day in the gym for 6 weeks. I changed my diet and ate healthier. And in that 6 weeks, when I actually counted it back, it took 6 weeks to lose all of that weight. Now, that was doing very intense, vigorous training, because I was going to do it, do or die. I was going to do it. But it just proves to show that, guys, that
don't be that extreme.
If you really, really want something,
you will get it.
You can get it. And you know what? It might take a little bit longer, but even if it does take a bit longer, it will mean all the more to you because of it.
Yeah, and it's the journey as well. It's like today, it's you've got the idea, and then tomorrow you go and do something about it. But you're doing these little things day by day, moving forward, but you're becoming a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. And then the next day, and be excited moving forward. You know there's a problem here. You know that you want to go out and you want to do something about it. Just do it. And the fact that you're starting, and the fact that you're thinking about it, or the fact that you want to help someone with it, really goes to show that, you know, it's positive. You know, it's all positive. Why wouldn't you want to feel this way? Why don't you want to feel incredible about yourself?
You do.
You know,
everyone does.
Yeah.
And I know the reason why we're talking about this today, guys, is, you know, it can be a little bit of a touchy subject, taboo even, you know, to talk about. However, the reason why we're talking about it is to try and generalize it by giving it a voice, and by taking away this aspect of quietness around it. We can then truly tackle it. We can get it out there and get it in the open and truly get in the face of it. And hopefully by doing that, we can inspire people who have maybe are struggling to go and do something about it.
It's easily recognizable as well. Even if you interact with people in the gym, and, you know, you'll hint at it. Some people, you know, sometimes they're just not happy with the way they look, but you can really tell those who are connected with it. It is a little bit hidden, surface level. You talk to these people, and every time you go in the gym and you talk to, maybe exchange numbers, you meet up and you go for a coffee, food, whatever, you train together. And the more you get to know this person, they start to show symptoms of MD, and it is very common. I know the studies say it was like 1 in 100 people for body dysmorphia.
I think it's slightly.
I think it's quite a lot more high, especially with the rates of people who are taking steroids that we mentioned in previous episodes.
10 to 15% of regular gym
just
goers.
regular gym goers, and that's not even like bodybuilders or whatever.
Yeah, that's just normal people go to the gym for recreational purposes.
A lot of that stems off people with body issues,
You couldn't say that you are happy and content in how you look if you felt like you had to take steroids.
Yeah, and please don't.
No.
If you're out there, and we will talk about this another day, but if you are having real issues and you're listening to this, and, you know, this is a wake-up call for you, and you're thinking about maybe taking steroids, don't do that. Don't do that to yourself.
Trust me. Healthy food, hard work, get up in the morning.
Send us a message on Instagram.
Yeah, if you're struggling with anything there, guys, or you've got any questions, feel free to message us at any time.
Yeah, just send us a message, and, you know, no judgment. Me or Alex will read it. We'll get back to you, you know, because we have both experienced, on different ends of the spectrum, we've both experienced this problem, and we've overcome it, and now we're here, and we're just making it very real, and we're putting it, it's a serious matter. You can tell with the way we've been talking. It's not something to joke about. It's very real.
It's very real. And if you are struggling out there, guys, and you feel like you can't talk to anyone in person, please send us a message, and we will do everything within our power to help you.
We don't mind investing our time into helping any of you. And it's not just with body.
It's all about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's about helping, giving back. And it's not just with body dysmorphia. If you have dark thoughts or anything negative, just send us a message. Just even a single word, just ask for help, and we will do everything we can to help you.
ITFO is here, guys.
That's it. That's what we want to do. You know, we want to help. That's the whole point of why we're here.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to talk about.
Sounds like a plan and a wrap.
And a wrap. Yeah.
Tell you what, that sounds absolutely amazing, guys. It was absolutely lovely for you all to come and listen to us today. Yeah. If you have any, let's say, like I said, if you need any help,
any questions,
message us direct. If you have any thoughts on what we could be talking about in our episodes, send us an email at inthefaceof11@gmail.com, and we will do our best to try and incorporate anything that we can to help.
And definitely check out our social media pages, because we do posts similar to this.
We will be posting for weekly from now on, guys, stepping up, and we will be with you across platforms.
Exactly. Anyway, thanks so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and a wonderful day. Depends what time you listen to it.
Good evening and good night.
Exactly.